For over 40 years, Tom Silva was the steady, trusted face of this old house, calm, skilled, and seemingly untouched by the drama that so often surrounds TV fame. But now, at 77, Silva is finally breaking the silence. In a move no one saw coming, he's pulling back the curtain on the show's hidden past, revealing intense behind-the-scenes conflicts, moments when he nearly walked away, and truths the network never wanted aired. These aren't just minor production issues, they're explosive revelations that could forever change how fans view one of the most iconic home improvement shows in history. This isn't just about renovations, it's about what really happened when the cameras weren't rolling. At a critical crossroads in his career, Tom Silva made a bold move. He directly confronted the producers of this old house, urging them to reassess his role within the team. He made it clear, if meaningful changes weren't made, he was prepared to walk away. While Bob Vila's exit in 1989 over brand promotion controversies dominated headlines, it quietly opened the door for Silva to step into a more influential role. From that moment forward, Silva's presence evolved from on-screen contractor to a driving force behind the show's creative and construction direction. He became deeply involved in the design and execution process, cementing his legacy not just as a builder, but as a cornerstone of the series' enduring success. Tom Silva may have always appeared calm and collected on camera, but behind the scenes, he was quietly navigating one of the most turbulent chapters in this old house history. Between 2010 and 2015, as the show underwent a major rebranding effort to appeal to a younger demographic, executives floated bold and unsettling proposals, including phasing out veteran faces like Silva's. In high-level meetings, his name surfaced repeatedly as someone whose screen time could be reduced to make way for fresh, younger talent. Yet while Silva continued teaching viewers how to measure from a jam or use a speed square with masterful ease, few knew he was also fighting to hold his ground. Even as he demonstrated the precision of walnut joints or crowned cabinets with timeless class, there was an unspoken tension, a battle to prove that experience, trust, and craftsmanship don't expire with age. What could have been his quiet exit became instead a quiet defiance, reminding everyone why he remained the heart and soul of this old house. He was strongly against this plan, though, and had strong backing from both the technical staff and loyal viewers. In the end, the executive board kept his job and even gave Silva more professional room on both This Old House and Ask This Old House. In fact, this is a metal strip. Because of the zinc, it will be seen. That is why the rain will wash the particles out of the metal when it hits it. It is going to fall off the roof. It's time to nail off the siding. And there's the right way to nail the deck boards down. It's not really that important that we nail it to the wall. It needs to be on the wall in front of a computer all day. I know for sure that I don't. And they should be proud of what they're doing. All we want to do is teach them the right skill and bring out knowledge that some of them don't even know they have. At that time, Silva's continued involvement in all of the TV seasons was a clear sign of how trustworthy he was and what kind of role he really held in the production team. Silva was about to quit the group in 2004, which was another important year. He said he was under a lot of personal pressure and that the way the content creation department and the construction team worked together had been at odds for a long time. He himself admitted that it was one of the hardest times for him mentally because he had to keep changing technical details to fit the needs of shooting while still making sure the building would work. Even though the letter wasn't sent officially, the fact that he took the time to write it and talk about it with his family showed that he really thought about leaving the school. After several private talks with the executive board, Silva was given specific promises that technical control would be maintained on the job site and that the core building team would be kept. He has continued to perform regularly ever since, and there has been no break in any broadcast season. For Silva, the sudden death of Austin Wilson, a young member of the technology team in 2018, was one of the worst things that could have happened. Wilson died on a business trip to a filming site. Silva had personally chosen Wilson to train and introduce the crew to him. Silva says that what happened made him feel very sad and made him think about quitting all of his professional interests. Still, Wilson went back to work with the production team for the next season after months of helping his family and reorganizing things inside the company. He said that staying in the shooting was his duty to the rest of the team and to people who had watched the show for a long time. Tom Silva has been the major contractor on this old house for almost 40 years. He is also a key figure in keeping the technical structure in good shape, directing the professional content, and making sure the quality of the TV production stays high. He is in charge of big renovation projects that will happen over several seasons and has almost complete control over the planning and building process. Besides working on site, he was also in charge of giving advice on design, evaluating structures, choosing the best way to build, and working with the editing team to make sure that content fit the format of the TV show. The post isn't officially named, but it's held by the long-term trust of the network and the production team. Tom Silva has been in charge of the show through several host changes, including Bob Vila, Steve Thomas, and now Kevin O'Connor. This shows how consistent he is and how well he can adapt to new situations. He started out in a technical job but has since grown into being in charge of professional standards across the board, with an emphasis on education. True to the original goal of this old house since 1979, especially after Norm Abram, an important founder member and carpenter, left the show for good in 2022. From a business point of view, Silva was seen as a natural successor. He was asked to help choose project ideas, make production schedules, and keep an eye on the field for the next few seasons. The seasons that aired from 2021 to 2025, which included projects in Brookline, Westford, and Ridgewood, were all directed and approved by Silva. He also helped test recording equipment that was used on-site to make sure that workers were safe in a TV production setting with real risks. Silva is not only responsible for technical issues but also one of the few people on the show who can suggest a proper replacement. Starting in 2016, his nephew Charlie Silva was slowly added to the normal team through a process called gradual handover. Silva personally checked out Charlie's skills on small jobs and then slowly promoted him to main constructor over the next few seasons. This process not only makes sure the quality of the work, but it also helps the show stay true to its family roots during production, which is something that many longtime viewers really like. Along with Charlie, Silva also helps other pros, like Mauro Enrique finishing paint, with their work. Jen Novata Landscape and Heath Eastman Electrical, making sure that the way that teams work together professionally is always in sync. Since 2020, Silva has also worked as a technical advisor for programs that teach jobs through this old house and other trade schools in Massachusetts. He speaks for the program at forums for vocational training and is on the technical advisory boards for projects like Generation Next. In this way, he helps guide the next generation of workers in the construction industry, which is short on skilled workers. His regular attendance at professional conferences shows how well he combines real-world experience with community service. A model that the show has pushed since the beginning, even though it is set in reality TV, where staff members are always leaving. One of the most important things that makes a brand famous is Tom Silva's ability to have a stable presence and long-lasting impact. The trust that the audience has in him is proof that his work is appreciated by both the production team and the audience. PBS polls its own viewers and finds that he is always one of the most popular characters, especially among middle-aged and older viewers who have been watching the show since the beginning. From now on, Tom Silva's career path should not only be seen as a technical one, but also as an example of how to be tough, control yourself, and grow as a person in a public media system that is very complicated. His reputation as one of the most important and lasting figures in the history of home improvement TV in the United States can be better understood by looking at his entire career. A life made of bricks, wood, and respect. Tom Silva was born in Lexington, Massachusetts, in 1947. He comes from a family that has a long history of building things. He learned about real construction jobs early on because his father and brother worked in the field. As an adult, he was very involved with public works projects in the northeastern United States that his family worked on. His later work was built on these experiences, which also taught him the importance of skill, accuracy, and professionalism in construction. Silva is known as one of the best self-taught construction experts in Massachusetts, even though he hasn't gone to an official school for architecture. One important event in his life was when he and his brother Richard Silva started Silva Brothers Construction in the 1970s. Within a short time, the business became known for doing high-end home improvements, mostly in and around Boston. A lot of big clients, like regional TV stations, trust the company because of its strict building standards and quality control procedures. Building the studio for WGBH-TV's The Victory Garden was a big job that helped the company become known in the educational content business. It was because of that project that director Russell Morrish asked Silva and his team to work on one of the first seasons of This Old House. Silva first started as a subcontractor and was in charge of building and fixing up a house in Dorchester, Massachusetts, that was in the Greek Revival style. In 1988, he was hired as a permanent contractor after showing that he could oversee projects and make sure they were both useful and visually pleasing. Since then, Silva is one of only a few people to have held the job continuously throughout the show's lengthy past. There are hundreds of projects that Silva has worked on directly over the past 40 years that have been filmed and shown on PBS. A lot of these projects are big and hard to do properly. They include historic homes, heritage homes, and buildings made from traditional materials. Making changes to Weathered Farm in Westwood in the late 1990s was one of the hardest jobs. This is an old building made of wood, so the construction team had to use a special way to strengthen it to keep the classic sloped roof and make sure everyone was safe. Silva led the construction team on this job and was in charge of overseeing the complicated restoration work. Silva has done a lot to spread information about home improvement through professional publications in addition to his work on TV. He regularly writes a technical piece for This Old House magazine, where he answers readers' questions and shares tips on how to make home improvements go more smoothly. His work is used a lot in skills classes and in the digital libraries of New England trade schools. In 2004, he co-wrote 2 technical books called Complete Remodeling and Homeowner's Manual. These books are used as the standard guide for home improvement projects in the U.S. Tom Silva has built a strong work history, going from being a carpenter who grew up in a family business to a well-known technical expert in his field. Over the course of 40 years, he made efforts that not only helped define the style of This Old House, but also set a new standard for how educational TV and professional practice can work together. His job shows that he can do well in a high-pressure setting that needs him to be flexible, follow technical rules, and work with people from different fields all the time. 77 years old and still in charge of the building site. Tom Silva, who turned 77 in 2025, is still working on This Old House as the main builder and hasn't said when he'll stop. He told Internal Production earlier this year that he would still be a full contributor to future seasons, which would include big renovation projects in Westford and Ridgewood. This means Silva will keep doing his job duties, technical supervision, and building consulting, just like he did last year. Silva does a lot of different things besides making TV shows. During the years 2022 to 2024, he worked at Silva Brothers Construction as a strategic leader. He slowly gave his nephew Charlie Silva direct management, but he still took part in strategy meetings, project decisions, and choosing technical staff for very complicated projects. Still, he looked over and gave his opinion on important choices that involved allocating resources, buying new equipment, and the direction of the company's renovation consulting services. The honorary title of senior advisor gave him the freedom to be involved in his work without having to worry about normal administrative tasks. Silva is involved in a lot of professional activities in his community and across the country, in addition to his work with the program and the construction company. He is a temporary member of the advisory boards of several Massachusetts trade groups, such as the Northeast Regional Council for Building and Remodeling. There, he has helped make safety rules, training materials, and a technical library for independent tradespeople. Following an overall review, Silva's suggestions have been used to change civil building rules in a number of Boston and suburban areas since COVID-19. Not only does Tom Silva's continued work at age 77 show that his health is stable, but it also shows that his professional management system is well organized, which allows him to keep making a difference without being limited by age. The tasks and roles he is responsible for are fairly spread out between engineering, training, consulting, and production. showing a working model that can be used by veterans in a multidisciplinary setting. In the area of educational communication and professional practice, this helps to show that the personnel development model will work in the long term. The non-public life is thought about Tom Silva's private lifestyles all through his profession. Though, demonstrated information from his family and manufacturer suggests that he has maintained a solid way of life targeted on conventional values and own family duties. Silva has been married to Susan Silva for the reason that past due 1970s. They stay in a 19th-century house inside the western suburbs of Boston. The assets has been renovated through him and his family over the years and is regularly used as a reference in numerous home upkeep columns for This Old House magazine. Their two kids, Kate and T.J. Silva, aren't worried in TV or construction, but provide media and economic guide to the circle of relatives' commercial enterprise while wished. The home he now resides in is an extension of his long-status professional philosophy, which emphasizes the upkeep of historical architecture and the selective integration of current technology. Silva turned into invited to give at a historic protection conference hosted by the Massachusetts Council on Ancient Preservation on his own preservation of his domestic, that specialize in sustainability of substances, retaining the authentic shape, and optimizing the usage of space. The mission is listed within the state's architectural files as a model of scholarly recuperation in the discipline of non-business preservation. Statistics about Silva's personal life is frequently indirectly proven through intermedia channels and software activities. Consistent with the manufacturing team, he's the one who proposes content this is related to practical education, limiting private overall performance elements or excessive description of personal lifestyles. This editorial policy has been maintained considering 2005 to make sure a stability among professional statistics and the privateness of veteran employees. Not showing details about his private life in newspapers or on television facilitates him hold an expert photograph. Focus on his information and keep away from needless attention from the mass media out of doors the technical discipline. In the community, Silva is individually concerned in non-profit activities round vocational training. He serves as an casual representative to several NAS that provide vocational training to disadvantaged teens within the Northeast. Those sports are not widely publicized, but are referred to in the agency's annual pastime reviews, which listing him as an expert advisor. His involvement in those applications is frequently focused on device session, schooling manner validation, and on-website online demonstration. Within the enterprise, he is considered by generations of tradesmen as a function model, no longer only for his professional accomplishments, however additionally for his clean ethical guidance. Articles in expert journals and education boards often cite his requirements as a manual to safe, efficient, and sustainable creation practices. Numerous technical excessive schools in Massachusetts have applied curricula that comprise pics and photographs from Silva's pronounces as a part of their simulation training curriculum. Tom Silva's public image is constructed on a basis of consistency, professional requirements, and the capacity to coordinate personnel in an excessive stress production environment. He does not construct his call through outdoor media, does now not seem at mass business events, and does no longer companion with client manufacturers, a strategic preference to preserve his non-public recognition inside the public television environment. This makes him a unique expert icon, now not motivated through flavor, but connected to the genuine values of the career inside the modern media environment, however with the passage of time and the constant change in TV. Tom Silva has maintained his position as an expert pillar, an enduring model of expert ethics and willpower to work. What he has affirmed and shared now not only allows make clear issues which have induced tons debate inside the organization, however additionally indicates the system of building a career based totally on real capability, perseverance, and private responsibility. Along with his irreplaceable role on this vintage house, he is still a living testimony to a technology of professional workers. Those who no longer most effective know the way to do it, but additionally apprehend why it must be performed right. In case you find this content material beneficial and need to accompany the adventure of these who have spent their lives inside the career, recall to love, percentage this video, enroll in our channel, and leave a remark to discuss more in this subject matter.